Hello, my name's Declan Quigley of Anamnaski Shamanism. I've been a shamanic practitioner for the last 10 years.
And I'm Eileen McCourt, spiritual author and teacher.
Today we'll be talking about what we are. And first of all, Eileen, I think it's important to mention that we must leave behind some of the preconceived ideas and our teachings that we've grown up with, to fully embrace these new notions of spirituality.
Precisely, Declan. Like last week, we started with the nature of God, and we had to clear out the old soil before we could put in the new soil. And the old soil was the preconceived idea we have that God is an external figure, an authority out there waiting to punish us. And we replaced that with the new soil being that God is the energy, the great universal oneness, the great universal God energy. Now, hopefully this week, we can replace the old soil again with new soil. The old soil this week being that we see ourselves just as human beings, and we often say that when we're trying to apologise for something, sure, I'm only human. We hope to get rid of that old soil and replace it with the new soil, which this week is we are actually spiritual beings having a physical experience for the duration of this lifetime. We have a body, but we are a soul, and that's the main difference. We have a body, but we are a soul. The body will decay and will be discarded at the end of this lifetime, like an old coat, no longer of any use to us. But our soul has never had a beginning, and it will never have an end. It goes on and on and on, through dimension after dimension after dimension. We are actually a manifestation of the God energy in physical form. Yes, a unique individual manifestation, but still within the one great universal God energy.
Yes, and that fully mirrors the ancient shamanic view of everything being energy. And we're all part of a great field of energy.
Yes, a part of, not apart from.
Exactly. Part of an ecosystem, if you will. And that ecosystem is all energy.
Yes.
And that energy regenerates and reincarnates from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime.
Right, exactly. And again, we look at the world and we see the problems as maybe being political or economic. The problems with the world are neither political or economic. It's a spiritual thing because of the way we see each other just as a physical body. We are actually spiritual, a beautiful spiritual light. If I could look at you, Declan, and look at myself and see not just the physical body, if I could see the spiritual light I really am, and the spiritual light you really are, and everybody else as the spiritual light they really are, if we could all do that, we would not judge, we would not condemn, we would not criticise, and we would not kill.
No, that's absolutely right, because we would be doing all those things to ourselves.
To ourselves. But we are spiritual beings, we are human, yes, but we're mostly spiritual.
And that's very much the work that we're doing. We are working with the soul, with the energy of the soul. I know in my work as a shamanic practitioner, I mean, that is the very core, the centre of it.
Very core, yeah.
With such healing techniques as soul retrieval. And soul retrieval, of course, is dealing with lost soul pieces, so pieces that have broken away from the soul. So it's all central to the whole soul-oriented spirituality.
Yes. If you look at the hologram, take the image of the hologram, Declan, I think that explains a lot. The holographic image, see that as God, see it as oneness. And when we divide the holographic image up into smaller pieces, all of the holographic image is still contained within each small piece. So we are a small piece. We are, if you like, a small piece of the God energy. But just as in the holographic image, everything is contained within us, and we are contained within everything else. And that means, Declan, if everything out there is contained within us, that means that the good and the bad and the ugly are all contained within us.
So what you're
Right.
saying is actually all human experience, all emotion is within us individually,
That's right.
in a fractal sense.
Yes, we have the potential within us to do the greatest evil, but also to do the greatest good. And there's the story of the hero in each of us. It is working our way up towards enlightenment through facing the darker side of ourselves, the lower nature, and coming into our true soul, which is a higher nature.
And that's very much, again, the shamanic view, you know, that we must release this negativity. We must allow it to come up, to be disposed of,
Yes.
to leave us.
And I watched you do a soul retrieval here just last week, Declan, and I was totally blown away by it.
It's a very beautiful ritual.
It is a very powerful ritual.
Very powerful ritual.
And that's going back to the old shamanic
Yeah.
and the understanding of the soul.
That the soul is a separate entity all of itself. We are, as you say, we are souls in a body. The body is the vehicle.
That's
but
right.
The soul
Just for this lifetime.
is the motivating force. Yeah.
And we often get the question, what's the difference in the soul and the higher self? Well, I would explain that by saying the soul is the overall part of you. Everything you are, you ever have been, you ever will be, is your soul. Now, each time you come into this incarnation, you don't need all of your soul with you. You take just a small part of it to transport to get you through this lifetime. The rest of your soul remains in the higher vibration energy frequency level. That's your higher self. That is God in the pure God energy. That is you in your pure God energy. So when we pray, Declan, and this is difficult for people to get their heads around, when we pray, last week we established the fact that God is not an external force out there. But yet when we pray, we rhyme off prayers and words and we think we're praying to an external God who's going to grant some request and not grant another. Well, that's not the right way of it. When we pray, we're actually connecting with our own higher selves, which is us in our pure God energy. And that higher self is guiding us and channeling the answers to all the questions we could ever ask. There's no external God out there going to answer our prayers. It's all about what lies within. It's all about the soul.
Absolutely, Eileen.
Isn't that right?
And that would be, again, where we're both coming from, in that we are a soul.
We are a
simply
soul. We have a body, but we are a soul.
But when we connect with our higher selves.
That's
we
right.
connect with in the shamanic journey, which is core to shamanism. We are connecting with elements of ourselves through our guides and through the entities that we meet, so that they can give us information.
Mm-hmm.
They can channel healing through us. All those aspects.
Right. So Declan, when we're talking about what we are as we're doing here today, we've said we're not just the physical body. There are also other fields of energy around us, aren't there?
Absolutely. I mean, we are energy within energy within energy. And for us, as you well know, being a Reiki Grandmaster, we work off 7 energy points in the body. And more than that, but 7 main energy points in the body, the chakras. And of course, each chakra is related to a specific part of our lives.
Same way as we have 5 physical senses that relate us to the physical body around us, those chakras connect us to the spiritual side of things.
Absolutely. And for instance, throat chakra is about speaking our truth. It's about being creative. It's about interacting with the world. And that's a higher level chakra. Whereas the root chakra is about being grounded to the earth.
Our physical needs.
And our physical needs. And the sacral chakra is about our gender. It's about
Creativity.
our maleness. It's about our femaleness and about our sexuality. So all these chakras have a certain degree to do with connecting in and connecting into the energies that are in the body.
And they're symbolised as the lotus flower. And they all have a different colour.
That's right, yeah.
And the rainbow comes in here because the colours of our chakras are exactly the same colours in the rainbow. And people look at a rainbow and say, yes, lovely rainbow, and they go on. But we've got to stop and think. Colour is a vibration, and colours send out energy to us. So when you see a rainbow, that rainbow is sending down energy to our dimension. The blue is connecting with the blue in your throat chakra. The green is connected with your heart chakra and so on. So you're actually getting a charge of energy from that rainbow.
Absolutely. And that's what I find too. I mean, we have a very narrow field of perception.
We do.
I think once we move beyond the body, our perception field will expand. But for now, we're dealing with these connections to energy fields, such as colour, such as sound, and all those aspects. And that's part of the work that we do.
Yeah. And we can see these things through our third eye, which is our sixth chakra. When we just use our physical eyes, we're limiting ourselves to the physicality around us. But you know, when the boat goes out on the horizon, you can't see it anymore, but you know it's still there. So, and when the plane goes up in the air, you can't see it anymore, but it's still there. So why do we limit ourselves? If we can't see it or hear it, we tend to believe it doesn't exist, which is the wrong way to look at things. Because that third eye of ours, that's our spiritual light, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Eileen. And when we're doing healing for people, when we're going about that task, that's exactly what we're connecting to. It's those chakras. And the chakras are wheels coming from the Hindu Vedas. And they spin. And when we interact with the world, unfortunately, there's some negative energy that comes in and clogs these chakras, whatever that might be. We live in quite a dysfunctional world. So naturally, we only need to go outside the house to be meeting some negative energy. And our role then as healers is to clear that. And as you well know, the nature of illness, the nature of disease is all about the energetic. And it begins in the energetic. And that's our role as healers.
It doesn't begin in the physical body. It begins in one of these other energy bodies, mental, the emotional and the spiritual. It begins there and then manifests in the physical body. And that's what holistic therapists do. They treat the whole of the body and not just the physical. Shamanic work, that's what shamanic work does. It treats the whole of the body. All the energies combined with the body.
That's right, Eileen. And we use this unique energy that we have to channel universal energy through. In the shamanic terms, it's called the hollow bone. Right. That we allow that universal energy to come through and heal. Because for us, as you're well aware, we don't do the healing as people. We allow our guides and the energy.
We facilitate the healing process to take place, yes. Tell us about the aura, Declan.
Well, the aura is part of the energetic system of the body that feeds into the chakras. And the aura is our defense around us. It's a field of energy. And as you rightly said before, it's all related to colour and frequency. And this is our first line of defense for the body and for the chakras, or the first line of contact for anyone coming near us. So if you came to me in the street, I met you in the street, we connected, I would feel your aura and you would feel mine.
Yes.
And to get too close or to get too far away, we're not fully connecting. So we have learned through time and growing up and our experience how close our energy fields you get.
And that's why in poker games or in card games, they put people across from each other so their auras won't interconnect and they won't be able to read each other's thoughts. Whereas in meetings, committee meetings, they tend to squash people up close to each other so that they can pick up and read each other's aura. Isn't that right?
That's right, Eileen. It's strange how people who don't speak about auras or don't speak about body energy are still carrying out these situations where they are dependent on that energy. And
reading the aura is not specific to any certain type of person. Anybody can read the aura.
That's right.
For example, if you look at the top of the mountain, go a little bit above the mountain and soften your vision and you will see the haze rising up. And when I look at the top of your head, Declan, and go a little bit above that, I can see your aura very clearly.
That's right. We all and everything has energy.
Yes.
And that is the energy that's pursuing from me.
Okay, Declan, I'm going to play with your aura. Okay? So I'm going to ask you to put on at the moment it's quite high, I'm going to ask you to put on your sad face. Think of something very sad. Happy face? It's gone up again. That's the aura.
That's very much how it works. And we as healers, as therapists, we need to know all these.
Right, now to sum up what we've done today, Declan. Last week we talked about the nature of God. This week we've talked about our nature, what we are. And to sum it up, we are not just physical beings. We are mostly spiritual beings having a physical experience for the duration of this lifetime. We are unique manifestations of the divine energy of God. And even though we are unique and individual, we are still contained within the oneness of the great universal God energy.
That's absolutely right, Eileen. And I think it's so important for people beginning their spiritual path or sticking the toe in the water to know that, to know this is spirituality 101. This is where it begins, what we are.
What we are. And we need to understand what the nature of God is, like we did last week, and what we are in order to go to our next stage. So what are we going to be talking about next week, Declan?
Well, next week we are going to be talking about where we are, what we are, how we're going about our daily lives.
In other words, why we are here.
Exactly.
And that there are two parts to that. First of all, why we are here in physical form, and secondly, why we are here on this dense earth vibration frequency level.
What's our sole purpose?
Yes.
What's our reason for being? That's what we'll be discussing. It'll be very interesting because there's a few revelations, I think, out there for a few people.
Yes. So I hope you will join us next week again, when, as Declan said, we'll be talking about why we are here. Namaste.
Namaste.